in partnership with CommSec.
Checking the markets now with Tom Piotrowski. Good morning to you, Tom. So I see that the Dow Jones is up over 1% overnight. Does that mean our share market will follow this morning?
Well, Kenny, yes. In simplistic terms, the Dow rose by a little less than 1%, and we saw the futures end with a gain of a little under 1/4% for the SPY in after-hours trade. So we'll kick off in positive territory. But really, the big story last night, well, there were a couple of them, but what you tended to see investors do in the first stages of the month in the US is they moved away from those large, expensive stocks, particularly the technology names, and they favoured smaller organisations. So that's why you saw the Nasdaq, for example, down by 0.8%. The S&P 500 finished down 0.1%, but they were moving into the smaller part of the US market, and that's why an index which we don't talk about all that often, the Russell 2000, which measures smaller organisations, actually had quite a good night. It was up by 1.2%, but there was a lot of focus on the Trump legislation passing through US Congress, the big beautiful bill as it's referred to. It passed the US Senate by a margin of 51 to 50. And now it goes to the US House of Representatives again. There's concern again, Kenny, that this is going to put upward pressure on the US deficit. So that combined with the economic news of the day, which showed that manufacturing activity still moderated in the last month in the US, but the measure of prices paid remained at its highest level in 3 years. There was a better than expected reading on US job openings, so that paves the way to a potentially strong employment report later on in the week. So they're the sorts of things that could put upward pressure on interest rates in the near term. But you saw a little bit of a bump higher for bond yields last night, which also took the gloss off those technology names. So having said all that, as I said, the futures pointing to a gain of a little under 1/4%. We don't have much in the way of corporate news today. We do have retail sales and building approvals to be released, which probably won't make all that much difference on prices. The Aussie dollar has moderated from its highs overnight when it was trading as high as 65.9 US cents, but it's back to around 65.8.
Okay, Tom, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.